What did Paleolithic humans really do all day? It's a question often overshadowed by the iconic images of humans clad in furs, wielding spears and retreating to shadowy caves. Yet, if we peel back the layers of assumption, we may find a tapestry of daily life far more intricate and surprisingly busy than commonly imagined. As dawn broke over the sweeping expanses of the Paleolithic landscape, the rhythm of life brought with it the realities of waking up in a prehistoric environment. Imagine a world without alarms, but rich with the chorus of the natural world, where the first rays of sun gently coax the ground into warmth. Sleeping arrangements, while rudimentary, were crafted with care from the world around theme a tessellation of animal hides for comfort, packed earth for solidity, and rocks as natural boundary markers. Often, these beds were shared, reinforcing the bonds of community through the closeness of shared space. Integral to surviving each day was the critical task of tending to the fire each morning. Fire, a miraculous glimmer in the pre-dawn darkness, was far more than a tool for warmth. It was an emblem of life itself. The night's embers were coaxed back into a lively flame with patient breaths and methodical feeding of twigs and dried grasses stirring bright in the hopes of enduring through another day and night. Every member of the community, from the youngest child to the eldest elder, understood its importance. A neglected or extinguished fire posed more than inconvenience. It was a challenge to survival. Life, however, did not pause long enough for reflection. Daylight demanded action. Mornings were filled with the preparation of essential tool-sharp stones and sturdy branches that were turned into spears, scrapers, and hammers, vital for both daily sustenance and protection. These tools were not just extensions of necessity, but bore the fingerprints and creativity of the one who fashioned them. Checking and repairing these tools, an activity shared communally, created opportunities for skill sharing and bartering, where tales of skillful hunts or innovative designs naturally accompanied the rhythmic clangor of stone on stone. As the sun climbed higher, the world of Paleolithic humans came alive with a series of rituals and tasks, each woven into the fabric of their survival and society. With the sun now casting its warm glow across the landscape, the next phase of the Paleolithic morning began. Driven by a blend of necessity and social interaction, the morning routines were not solitary affairs, but orchestrated within the community. After the fire was securely glowing, attention turned to tools, each instrument a testament to ingenuity and survival. Spears, vital for hunting, were inspected, their wooden shafts tested for strength, arrowheads checked for sharpness and security. Scrapers, used to clean hides and prepare food, took on fresh edges under the skilled strokes of a flint knapper, each hammer's tap a rhythm that underscored the morning's labour. These activities were deeply social. Each repair or enhancement was a chance to engage in the exchange of skills and techniques. Collaborations flourished. A youth observing an elder's deft carving technique would soak up knowledge like a sponge, while elsewhere, an older hunter might learn a trick to better align a spearhead from a younger, innovative mind. Such transactions added layers to the web of the community, reinforcing bonds and establishing reputations. The sharing of tools and know-how not only consolidated the tribe's survival, but also wove a rich tapestry of interpersonal relationships. As the morning matured, the pressing question of food became paramount. The availability of breakfast foods dictated the strategy for the day. Were berries ripe on the nearby bushes? Did the season favour a bounty of roots or nuts recently cached by small animals? Foraging, often an essential morning task, required knowledge as detailed and dynamic as a hunter's understanding of the game. Recognising which plants could be safely consumed, or which showed promise for later in the season, was crucial for success, and often exclusive knowledge held by a few wise members of the group. Hunting, on the other hand, was a more calculated endeavour. While it offered the allure of a feast, it also carried significant risks. For this reason, hunting was less a daily routine and more a planned venture, demanding cooperation, coordination, and sometimes a mix of silence and patience that only a synchronized group could achieve. The decision to hunt on a given day wove together the echoes of past successes and failures, each hunt imprinted with memory and anticipation. Amid these practical tasks, personal hygiene, albeit limited by modern standards, was not overlooked. The hunt, if chosen as the day's pursuit, started with meticulous preparation. Decisions were made based on shared recollections of animal movement patterns and subtle signs that painted the landscape with clues only keen eyes could interpret. Tracks in the mud, a broken branch here, scuff marks against a rockall pointed to potential prey. However, sourcing food was not only about prowess with a spear, but also about patience and understanding of the environment. Foraging offered an alternate path, one that relied on a synergy with nature. Those who foraged brought with them a wealth of knowledge when to dig for tubers or which nuts were best stored for leaner times. They ventured with baskets woven from reeds, each foray a dance with the land that rewarded those who moved observantly and respectfully. Foraging was fertile ground for stories and laughter, a communal task that cemented bonds as sure as any hunt. Meanwhile, practicality defined the limited yet vital hygiene practices of the Paleolithic era. Riverbanks often served not only as a source of water, but also as mirrors to inspect oneself and grounds for basic cleanliness rituals. Twigs chewed into primitive toothbrushes and the minty leaves of the local flora acted as rudimentary dental care, a task done more out of necessity and discomfort than vanity. Bathing in the chilled embrace of a stream was both a shock to the system and a step toward enduring well-being. By the day's midpoint, whether through foraging or an early successful hunt, the camp buzzed with activity. The air filled with the scent of cooking as community members gathered to share in the fruits of their labor. Conversations were spiced with humor and teaching moments, each word passing along kernels of wisdom to the attentive young. The meal nourished more than bodies. It fed the spirit of the group, reinforcing alliances and kinship. As much as these activities sustained the community, the hunt itself was never truly over. The preparation of meat required skills in preservation salting, drying, smoking, and was a task laden with risks of spoilage and waste if done improperly. Here the older generation shone, guiding with their seasoned hands and practiced eyes. But as twilight and the comforting crackle of the evening fire beckoned, there loomed a realization. Despite the day's achievements, tomorrow's dawn promised another cycle of challenges and opportunities. The question lingered, what would the next day reveal under its breaking light? The sun climbed higher, signaling the beginning of the keystone activities that would define the day: hunting and foraging. These ancient pursuits weren't merely tasks, but rather the heartbeat of Paleolithic life, weaving a complex fabric of daily existence where survival and community were tightly knit. Under the canopy of expansive skies, groups split according to necessity and preference. Some embarking on daring hunts, while others engaged in the artful practice of foraging. Hunting was a calculated risk, a venture fraught with both peril and promise. It demanded a symbiotic understanding amongst those who participated. Teams moved with silent efficiency into the territory of giant beasts, their quarry often larger than life and equally dangerous. Elephants or mammoths, depending on the region, represented both significant sustenance and a formidable challenge. Strategies were whispered amongst the hunters, including methods to surround and drive the beast into traps or tight spaces where their massive size became a disadvantage. In the pursuit of such grand creatures, the hunter's skills were forged through necessity and sharpened by experience. Each member of the hunting party was an integral part of a living, breathing strategy, where the timing of a throw or the angle of approach could sway the outcome. There were no guarantees, as the unpredictable nature of such hunts could quickly turn the hunter into the hunted. Nonetheless, the thrill of the chase and the potential reward drew them together, forging alliances in the crucible of joint venture. Parallel to this, the foragers set out, eking sustenance from the land through an intimate knowledge of their environment. They understood the delicate dance of ecosystems, recognizing when and where fruits and tubers revealed their bounty. Children often accompanied skilled gatherers, learning to discern the whisper of edible leaves from their toxic twins, a silent syllabus writ in green. Every rustle of the underbrush could herald an opportunity or a message, perhaps the movement of small prey or the sign of rival gatherers crossing paths. The landscape itself was a lesson, and within its folds, the foragers moulded their day's journey, harvesting knowledge as much as sustenance. Despite the thoroughness of these activities, success was never assured. For every triumph a successful hunt, or a basket brimming with the earth's offerings, there lay the shadow of deprivation. By dusk, the community would gather around one vital element that transcended time: fire. Fire was more than a tool for cooking and warmth. It was the heart of Paleolithic society, a beacon around which life spiraled. The art of firemaking was revered, its methods honed by generations and its secrets shared with great care. Flintstones, carefully struck to produce a spark, were among the most valued possessions, as were dry moss and bird down gathered from the landscape, their soft touch a promise of warmth. The responsibility of firemaking wasn't taken lightly. Skilled individuals, often seen not just as practitioners, but as bearers of wisdom, ensured its flames never faltered. Passing this knowledge was an act akin to storytelling a legacy carved into the rhythm of life itself. And at times when these guardians of flame faltered, a silent tension would creep through the group, underscoring fire's indispensable role in their existence. Once a fire was kindled, its glow created a circle of safety and familiarity, etching faces into moments of relaxation and storytelling. Here, wrapped in the embrace of flames, tales of the day's exploits, be it a daring hunt or an adept forage, were spun to life. The fire's crackle punctuated the stories, a counterpoint to gasps and laughter, weaving a tapestry of shared experience and hope. Younger ears listened intently, absorbing the wisdom that came in the form of cautionary tales and heroic feats. Fire unified the group, a haven where warmth mirrored the bonds between those huddled close. Beyond its physical warmth, it offered a light against the fear of the unknown, beyond the fire's edgeward against the enveloping dark. Fewer concepts remained as constant in human development as this. The fire was community incarnate. Every flicker served as a reminder of their fragility and their reliance on one another for survival. Yet, despite the day's completed cycles, the rigorous morning routines, the labours of sustenance gathering, and the stories woven around the Ferreira, haunting awareness remained. That fire also projected shadows. Would tomorrow's dawn ignite hope anew, or cast a spectre unforeseen upon their tight-knit group? Amidst the challenges of Paleolithic life, finding or constructing suitable shelters was a task that required not just ingenuity, but the collaboration of the entire group. When natural caves weren't available, a precious resource for the protection they afforded, our ancestors demonstrated remarkable resourcefulness and creativity in crafting shelters from the materials at hand. The construction process often began with a survey of the surroundings, seeking suitable locations that balanced proximity to resources with defensibility. Once a site was selected, the group gathered, marshalling collective knowledge to direct the work. Constructing a shelter was as much a social activity as it was a practical necessity, each member contributing unique skills and strength. Wood, stones, and animal bones became the skeleton of these homemade abodes. Large branches were lashed together to form the basic frame of the structure, while smaller saplings and thorn bushes were interwoven to create walls that offered protection from wind and wandering predators. The roof, often thatched with layers of leaves or swathes of bark, provided a first line of defense against the elements. Animal hides, preserved through basic tanning techniques, might cover the entrances, offering warmth and privacy. Within these shelters, the ground was often lined with softer plant materials or woolly skins to create inviting areas for rest. These dwellings were far from static. They evolved based on necessity and opportunity, continually repaired and enhanced with each rebirth of the seasons. While the construction of these homes was focused on survival, they also served as places of innovation and social life. As they worked, the Paleolithic builders likely exchanged stories and knowledge, passing down experiential lessons on which materials were most enduring, or how to optimize the shelter's design to utilize the coexistence of strength and flexibility. In their construction of shelters, one sees echoes of modern homes' pursuit of comfort and security, reflecting humanity's timeless resilience and communal spirit. Yet, like the intricacies of firelighting or the dynamics of the hunt, shelter building was fraught with difficulty and required the harmonious working together of all present, sweeping their hands over their day's work as sunset painted long shadows across their efforts. They knew that their shelters would offer protection against the night's dangers. In the often perilous landscape of the Paleolithic world, the art of parenting was an omnipresent and vital endeavour. As fires crackled and signals of pending darkness flickered upon their shelters, the role of a parent was one steeped in both practicality and profound connection. With threats lurking beyond the dim glow, tending to the young was a task shared by the entire group, each member contributing to the child's, and thus the tribe's, survival. Raising children amidst such challenges required acute awareness and a fluid exchange of knowledge, weaving a community tightly around its future. In this hazardous environment, children were not just passive observers. From the moment they could walk, they were participants in their education. The adults acted as primary guardians, but they also employed a system of alloparenting, a practice where other community members, like elders and siblings, shared child-rearing responsibilities. Survival skills were paramount, and learning them was a rite interspersed with play. Games were essential in imparting crucial abilities like stealth, agility, and strength. Sticks became spears, enabling mock hunts that emulated real-life skills necessary for later hunts. Older children often led this playful education, teaching those younger the lore of their world through this blend of imagination and practicality. The concept of education took form amid the daily rhythms of life. Mimicry and trial by experience were their primary tools. They understood the forest by travelling its shadowed paths. They learned of animal behaviour by shadowing the elders within the hunting party. Every day unwound as a theatre of learning, where success meant stories traded by the fire, while failure demanded the sombre retelling of lessons. Beyond immediate survival, this ancient approach to parenting saw the emotional and spiritual development of children as equally vital. Evening gatherings around the fire often concluded with stories that served both as entertainment and as a pedagogical tool, threading moral and survival lessons together in intricate oral traditions. Yet, amidst these vital teachings, humility reigned. No lesson was complete, no skill entirely mastered. The Paleolithic world was one of constant adaptation, and parenting, like hunting or firemaking, was a dynamic, evolving practitioner unlike the shifting seasons that shaped their lives. The Paleolithic era was more than just an epoch of survival. It was a time that sowed the earliest seeds of culture and creativity, revealing humanity's intrinsic need for expression. As darkness fell and the embers of communal fires crackled, the tribe gathered to tell stories and share in traditions of practice that evolved into creating physical manifestations of their worldview. Art. Cave paintings, unearthed across continents, stand as silent testaments to this creativity. These illustrations, ranging from simple handprints to complex scenes of hunts and daily life, were more than mere decorations. Scholars debate their exact purpose, proposing theories of communication, ritualistic significance, or even early storytelling mediums used to convey events, ideologies, or dreams. Imagine a dusk setting deep within the chambers of a cave, where flickering torchlights cast dancing shadows across the walls. Here, in an atmosphere thick with mystery and respect, artists within the group often revered not just for their skills, but for what they may have been believed to channel through their work crafted these enduring images using rudimentary tools. Brushes fashioned from bone or wood, pigments derived from charcoal, ochre, and clay. The creation of this art was likely a collective effort, an amalgamation of stories, beliefs, and shared experiences. As brushes dabbed against the earthen canvases, interpreters among them might have narrated the scenes taking shape in herds, charging across imaginary plains, hunters poised in timeless dance with prey, or celestial bodies, in symbolic arrangements all, carrying forth their legacies, aspirations, and lessons. These artworks could have served varied roles, as spiritual guides or tales memorialized in pigment, as instructional diagrams for new hunters, or perhaps as elements of ceremonial rites. Regardless of their precise meanings, they eternally whisper of a profound insight or connection to the realms beyond tangible experiences of survival and struggle, reaching into the depth of human psyche and imagination. Thus, the act of creating art nestled deep within those cave havens can be understood not only as a cultural expression, but an early platform for unity and education. This interconnected tapestry of life and imagination weaves a story about the endurance of human spirit, a spirit that sought meaning and connection beyond the corporeal challenges of everyday existence. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting the Paleolithic landscape in soft twilight as the community gathered for their evening assembly. These moments, a fusion of daily ritual and cultural edification, marked the culmination of the day's endeavours. Here, beneath the vast canopy of stars, stories intermingled with the essentials of human survival and adaptation, echoing through the crisp night air. As the group encircled the fire, the nucleus of their existence embers danced skyward, mirroring the twinkling stars. This primordial gathering required no formal invitation. It was an instinctive convergence, a place where the dual beats of life's cadence and shared lore met. Around this fire, daily achievements and tales of art were woven into narratives that would transcend generations. Leaders and elders commenced the storytelling, their voices carrying authority, forged in wisdom and experience. Each tale served a purpose, whether it detailed heroic hunts, elucidated environmental changes, or imparted vital survival strategies. These stories were imbued with vivid imagery, and listeners, especially the young, sat mesmerized, decoding each word, gesture, and silent pause. Occasionally, younger voices interjected, recounting their day's discoveries, a freshly encountered track, a personal victory in mastering a new tool, verifying their roles as burgeoning holders of the community's continuity. These nascent storytellers, demonstrating both progress and potential, were gently guided by the elders, their contributions as valued as those of the seasoned narrators. Yet, amid the reassuring repetition of known fables, there were moments when the storytelling waded into the mystical. Shadows cast by the flames sculpted figures on the surrounding textures, elongating into ephemeral guides to otherworldly tales. These accounts, filled with speculation and infused with the raw power of imagination, hinted at the beliefs and mysteries that lay beyond the tactile world. As the fire diminished to a smoulder, the stories naturally ebbed, leading into reflective silence. However, the storytelling never concluded entirely. It lingered in the heart and mind, reinforcing bonds and sparking contemplation. Amidst this complex web of orality and tradition arose questions that eluded immediate answers but fostered profound communal connections and understanding. What profound narratives might yet unfold within these circles, as the Paleolithic world poised on the brink of unforeseen transformation? In the midst of reflective silence, following the evening's tales, a subtle yet palpable anticipation stirred within the assembly, mirrored by the whispering winds that skimmered over the surrounding wilderness. The Paleolithic world, with its myriad intricacies of daily survival and sophisticated social structures, was evolving, poised upon the precipice of change. This was a transformation heralded not by sudden cataclysms, but by the relentless subtlety of accumulated knowledge and the human tenacity for adaptation and exploration. As the soft palette of dusk heralded night, an elder's voice, hoarse yet resonant, filled the air once more, weaving a tale that spoke to these impending tides. "The world is vast," the elder began, casting a gaze as encompassing as the horizon itself, "and we are its wanderers." With those words, the ember-lit faces of the younger generation sparkled with curiosity and questions, echoes of dreams that stirred beyond the bounds of their known world. It was a narrative not unfamiliar to some, the tale of distant rivers that sang of fertile lands, of stars mapping endless expanses, and of encampments that might lay beyond the next horizon. The elders remembered whispers of tribes moving beyond towering mountains, seeking new pastures, forging tools with newfound metals, and experimenting with seeds in ways unfathomable in their present routines. Yet, amid these musings of outward exploration, it was the inward journey, the honing of knowledge, the mastery of skills, and the language of survival that quietly orchestrated change. It was here, within each heart around the fire, that the seeds of innovation took root, blending experience with imagination. The tools in their hands bearings of bone, flint, and stone hinted at potential not yet fully comprehended. Who might ever thought to shape the earth's offerings into weapons, ornaments, symbols, or solutions to yet unwitnessed challenges? Nevertheless, mystery loomed on the horizon like the silhouettes of distant hills, and with it bore the weight of choices. Would these people, so deeply entwined with their environment, choose to venture beyond the visible world? Or would their path lay in transforming the familiar terrain, teeming with life and tradition? As the fire's warmth breathes a final sigh before retreating into glowing embers, an unspoken agreement binds the group a readiness to embrace the morning's revelations, unafraid of what they might unveil. Before the first light of dawn cast its muted glow over the encampment, the air was thick with a sense of unformed possibilities, like a clay vessel waiting to be shaped by creative hands. The Paleolithic ancestors, silhouetted against the dim horizon, stirred from sleep with a quiet resilience, instinctively set to rise with the anticipation of each day's new offerings. As smoky tendrils from the night's embers mixed with the crisp morning air, each member of the clan seemed to hold their breath, balancing on the cusp of potential discoveries. The morning routine unfolded with a delicate choreography, an age-old dance performed in perfect silence, save for the natural symphony of birds and insects heralding the dawn. The first flickers of fire were coaxed lovingly back to life, not just as a life-giving heat source, but as a beacon of unity and continuity. Gathered around this central flame, skilled hands examined tools that closely mirrored their intended purpose-frayed spears, sharpened to a menacing point. Hide scrapers infused with dexterity and care, stone blades that shone with meticulous polish. In the radiant glow of the fire, each artifact spoke volumes of tales, untold of chases through dense undergrowth, of clandestine observations of grazing herds, and of the fine balance between offense and survival. These tools, kissed by toil and touch, bore an unspoken testament to the ancestral wisdom, each etch and angle a tribute to generations who once wielded similar implements. Here, nestled among kin, camaraderie thrived, knowledge exchanged freely, laughter intertwined with lessons, and partnerships materialized through the lending and perfecting of skills. Meanwhile, the younger members, wide-eyed and eager, watched intently, absorbing the rhythmic motions with a hunger only their kindred elders remembered from their own youth. Their small hands, steady yet playful, mimicked the processes they observed, each hesitant attempt an echo of future expertise. The whispers of age-old knowledge flowed like the streams nearby, weaving through generations, transforming ignited curiosity into the tempered metal of experience. But this morning carried with it a note of the unusual. A rustle in the nearby thickets drew wary eyes and attentive ears. Unknown footsteps, perhaps too light for an adult, yet too spirited to belong to any known creature, disturbed the harmony of nature's morning echo. As if on cue, the encampment's collective focus shifted. Bodies coiled like springs ready for action. The air hung thick with trepidation, each heartbeat audible amid the awakening wilderness. While the experienced hunters among them readied their tools, a few of the more curious souls craned their necks, searching for a glimpse of what moved beyond the familiar boundaries of their world. It was a rare thing, for such disturbances at this hour usually promised either a threat or an opportunity. The movement continued, threading a subtle urgency through the fabric of morning. Slowly, from behind the thick bushes, a figure emerged small and hidden by the shadows of dawn, almost like a living whisper against the canvas of the forest. The children, clinging to their mothers, watched wide-eyed as this stranger slowly stepped into the light of the waking world. This visitor, neither beast nor known kin, seemed to hold in its small stature the essence of youth. A child, perhaps, given the hesitant steps and the mild confusion etched across its dirt-smudged face. Garbed in a motley array of furs and leaves, the child's eyes caught the flickering of the fire, shining with something akin to belonging. There was a collective inhalation, a moment where speculation flowed freely. Where had this child come from? Were they lost, or perhaps a messenger from another tribe? The air pulsed with unspoken questions, each one fueled by curiosity and concern. The elder, who had only last night woven tales of distant lands and unknown peoples, stepped forward, offering the stranger a look that bespoke both authority and gentle inquiry. The child, seemingly unfazed by the gathered stares, approached cautiously, driven perhaps by an intrinsic trust in the universality of humanity around a shared flame. It reached into a small woven pouch, slung over its shoulder, and drew out something clasped within tiny fingers of stone, ordinary at first glance. Yet its surface was etched with intricate patterns, unfamiliar yet mesmerizing. This child bore more than the courage to cross into unknown lands. They held the remnants of a story seeking completion. As firelight danced upon the strange stone, sparking the imaginations of those around the circle, a silent understanding passed through the assembly. Here was a mystery wrapped in youthful innocence, a call to embrace what lay beyond the comfort of familiarity. The sun crept higher, casting slender shadows upon the earth that seemed to stretch like questions into the encampment. The newcomer, a mere flicker against the unyielding backdrop of the vast forest, remained at the heart of attention. The elder, whose authority was as ancient as the echoes of past victories embedded in the tools around the fire, bent low, eyes level with the child's. An expectant hush fell as the elder spoke, words measured and gentle, transcending the boundaries of dialect. "From where do you come, little wanderer, and what tale brings you here?" The child, eyes reflecting curiosity rather than fear, hugged the mysterious stone close, its intricate carvings glistening with an unfathomable history. Though hesitant at first, the child pointed towards the eastern horizon, where the sun's rays began to gild the treetops with a golden sheen, the east home to the rising sun, and, as law would have it, possibly to other tribes with customs as varied as the clouds. The elder nodded knowingly, recognizing that this might indicate travel from distant kin, or perhaps a remarkable journey of survival. As this revelation settled over the group, whispers of intrigue and speculation threaded through the onlookers a child astray, or a harbinger of unforeseen ties. Encouraged by the growing warmth of shared curiosity, the child leaned in closer to the fire, encouraged by its light and the comfort of community. Slowly, haltingly, they arranged small pebbles and pieces of earth around the stone, forming a crude but evocative map. The encampment, once a stage of routine mornings and familiar tasks, had transformed into an unfolding enigma, holding the promise of new alliances and unheard stories. The patterns in the stone, the child's compass on this miraculous day, seemed to dance with the glow of the flickering Ferreira map or message, perhaps left by absent ancestors or new allies. A ripple of anticipation swept through the crowd as eyes traced the arcane symbols, minds leaping to piece together what this cryptic token could herald. Seconds stretched into minutes. The warmth of the day, advancing as speculation, drew everyone closer together, as if the myriad souls of their ancestors brushed against them, urging them onward. What kind of path lay painted upon the child's heart and stone? A test of their unity, perhaps, or an invitation into a broader world? The stillness of the moment hung delicately in the air, a suspenseful pause amid the breathing world, as wary glances were exchanged among the expectant tribe members. The child, a small figure in the vast and ageless theatre of existence, carefully observed the reactions their offerings incited. Within those engravings lay the whispers of lands unseen, connecting an ancient lineage with potential futures yet unfurled. The elder, a guardian of tradition yet bearer of wisdom, deciphered what the drawings could mean, for beyond the pale scratches on stone lay stories pioneered by the great currents of history and discovery, stories that had shaped the very essence of human wanderlust and survival. A slight nod from the elder reassured the tribe. 9/10 survival, 1/10 curiosity led them forward, spirit perhaps encoded within the etchings of the stone. As the tribe gathered around, a subtle unison of anticipation enfolded the scene, marked by the clatter of stones rearranged, newly attributed meaning granted by the beckoning symbols. The child's fingertip traced lines over the carvings, lines that seemed to reverberate with hidden knowledge. It sketched a route across their impromptu earth tableau, a sparkling sliver of future adventure nestled within the foreboding mystery. Soft whispers arose, mingling with the breeze that swept lazily through the trees, carrying tales of peregrinations from forgotten paths. They spoke of fellowship among strangers, traded stories, shared warmth under starlit skies, the eternal human compulsion for connection. The homeland horizon, once a guarded boundary, had now become a tempting vista, shimmering with promise. Will they lead us to their kin? Someone mused aloud, a voice standing out in the collective thoughts of discovery. Such sentiments, the natural extension of human adaptability, held a subtle authority, even within their simplicity found not just in fear or necessity, but in the universal grace of understanding and exploration. As firelight mirrored in the combined wisdom of seasoned eyes and untamed youth, the tribe found position amid the primal mural of life's interminable canvas. Adventures called Tales of Survival blended with the allure of the unfamiliar. There was more to be unearthed, a beckoning of heart and mind to places yet unconquered. As dusk embraced the forest in a cascade of twilight hues, an eagerness laced the encampment, much like the vibrant threads of a yet-to-be-spun tapestry of adventure. The elder, trusted bearer of collective memory, convened the group around the central monument of the evening the fire, vibrant with life, coaxed into a pyre that whispered untamed stories into the night. Shadows leapt and danced across faces as if they were alive, echoing the unspoken excitement that gripped each heart. "We have a path," the elder proclaimed, pointing to the evocative map made of soil and stones at their feet. The child, whose tiny hands had unveiled this unforeseen journey, nestled into the safety of the tribe's embrace, their eyes mirroring the same sparks in the flames. With a gentle, reassuring nod, the elder invoked a timeless truth. Discovery demands both courage and communion. Planning began with the sharing of stories, tales of those who once dared to stray beyond the familiar in search of sustenance or new alliances. Legends magnified into guiding spirits, not merely echoes of the past, but mentors for the shaping of what lay ahead. Each story wove through the air, fusing experience with the unknown, an alchemical mixture that fortified the resolve of every person gathered there. The tribe pondered practicalities over the evening meal, a tapestry of elemental connections stitched together with shared efforts of survival. Tools were checked and sharpened in preparation, their metallic clink resonant under the elder's watchful eye. Discussions unfolded in varied tones, outlining the necessary provisions for such a journey, storing the knowledge under bark and hide, much like seeds in the fertile ground of time. Amidst these preparations, the child revealed a newfound calm, particularly as the elder laid an arm over their small shoulders, speaking in a low but mighty cadence. Each word planted significance into their young heart, sowing an understanding that their impetus had nudged the tribe onto this unforeseen course, bridging the past with the unknown. Finally, under the heavy blanket of night, the time arrived to rest, each member of the tribe carrying dreams full of new paths and mingling traditions. The fire dimmed, its flickering tendrils whispering promises of the dawn a new day, poised to begin in union with the child's map and heart. Yet just beyond the dwindling light, hidden within the forest's age-old embrace, an ensemble of eyes watched with solemn interest. The forest remained silent, save for the rhythmic chirping of crickets, their chorus enveloping the camp in an otherworldly symphony. The stars above, shimmering like ancient gems nestled within an obsidian tapestry, bore witness to the unfolding drama of human endeavor far below. Within the tribe's camp, shadows of tentative plans mingled with the warmth of familial bonds, forged by shared journey and purpose. The new dawn arrived quietly. An ethereal mist clung to the landscape as if unwilling to release its hold on the mysteries it veiled. The tribe roused gently from the embrace of sleep, instinctively reaching for the primal comforts of fire and fellowship. As dawn's delicate hues seeped through, it was the child, brimming with unabashed curiosity, who first stirred, fastening eyes upon the map etched into the earth, a testament to the day's promise. Once more, the whisper of preparation rippled through the camp. Like industrious ants, each tribe member moved with purpose, collecting and organizing the essentials for their impending journey. Tools lay outstretched on hides, their shadows painting intricate patterns on the earth as experienced hands deftly secured bindings and sharpened stones. The air was filled with the sound of intent, a symphony of survival crafted from stone, sinew, and spirit. Nearby, the elder surveyed these preparations, eyes sweeping across faces illuminated by anticipation and resolve. Whispers spoke of expectation, each woven word culminating in a tapestry of collective intent. By now, an instinctual synchronization was evident, each action dictated by an ingrained understanding of necessity honed by countless generations. As morning matured, Stories bubbled up in the comforting vernacular of experience, handed down through time like well-trodden paths that soothed the burden of uncertainty. The child, now a fulcrum of this nascent enterprise, listened with heart afire, each tale kindling an inspirational ember woven into a mantle of understanding that draped gently over their shoulders. And yet, amidst preparations, a subtle tension lingered like fog at the edges of a clearing. For just beyond their reach, where forest shadows harboured secrets unknown, signs of watchful presence emerged, footprints newer than their own, faint whispers of creatures aware of the tribe's every move. A collective awareness hummed silently in the air, a testament to the primal dance of survival. The day unfurled with an expectancy as palpable as the sun's first tender rays, casting the world in a gilded glow. Among the tribe, a hum of anticipation mingled with a sense of purpose, a quiet understanding that they walked not only to survive, but also to discover, to etch their existence upon the passage of time. The child, eyes bright with the promise of adventure, held a central place in this awakening journey. Surrounding them, the tribe's elders and peers adopted roles in this unfolding narrative of exploration, each gesture a silent pledge to the search for sustenance and stories yet to be told. The map, sketched with childlike wonder, yet marked by wisdom beyond years, guided their path with the simplicity that belied its import. But as the sun climbed higher, bathing the land in life-giving light, fragments of unease whispered through the tall grass and rustling leaves. A wary sense lingered among the tribea, feeling born of ancient instinct, like the subtle prickling upon the skin when unseen eyes are watching. The forest, once a familiar ally, now seemed to pulse with an unfamiliar rhythm, a quiet challenge woven into every rustle and bird call. Setting out, the tribe moved as one, seasoned hunters flanking the group, while gatherers wove among them with graceful efficiency. Their steps were carefully measured, each tread a testament to years merged with the rhythm of the earth, every glance a dialogue with the unseen. The elder, ever vigilant, gathered whispers of advice and encouragement among them, words falling on the child with the gentle weight of newfound responsibility. Yet even as they progressed, the forest revealed its secrets sparingly. Tracks barely disturbed the soil, paths diverted into brambles where birds took sudden flight. Here lay the evidence of lives not yet encountered, but intently traced, a shadowy, mute conversation between the tribe and the ever-watchful presence sharing their journey. Pausing by a stream, the tribe drank deeply from its crystalline waters, which glistened like molten silver under the afternoon sun. The child crouched near the edge, entranced by the myriad creatures bustling within its depths. Small hands reached out tentative fingers, inadvertently stirring ripples that danced outward in concentric circles echoes of their own journey's beginnings, branching into unknown futures. The sunlight wove through the forest canopy like threads of golden silk, crafting patterns of light and shadow that danced across the landscape. As the tribe continued their trek, each member contributed to a symphony of presence, feet moving in harmony with the rhythm of nature's pulse. Leaves crunched softly with each step, and the murmurs of the forest accompanied their path like an ancient lullaby. It wasn't long before they reached a clearing, its openness both welcoming and unsettling a reminder of just how small they were in the expanse of the wild. In this moment, the child was entranced once more, studying the interplay of light upon grass and stone, the gentle caress of the wind's breath upon their skin. Each sensory detail etched itself into their memory, a personal library of experience and wonder. The elder, a sentinel rooted in wisdom and experience, gestured for a brief rest. With practiced ease, the tribe settled into this temporary haven. Faces turned skyward, soaking in the warmth of the day, momentarily forgetting the enigmatic signs that had troubled them earlier. Here, the world sang a song of life unyielding, of ancestral whispers carried on the breeze that spoke of unity and the timeless passage of life. Yet, just below the serene surface, a current of tension lingered, a tale of footprints, out of step with the harmony they sought to preserve. The fresh tracks they had noticed earlier hinted at another presence, one that was possibly borrowing time from their very journey. It was a silent challenge, a call from another soul navigating this labyrinth of wood and stone. As the sun dipped towards midday, the tribe's attention subtly shifted to the task of foraging. Skilled gatherers fanned out, their focus intense and deliberate, eyes seeking the gentle signatures of edible treasures hidden among undergrowth and bark. Fingers danced over delicate leaves and tentative shoots, sensing nature's offerings with an understanding drawn from generations long past. Meanwhile, the child lingered at the edge of the group, face alight with curiosity and burgeoning purpose. Nearby, the map remained carved into their thoughts as vividly as it had been drawn on the earth. Each venture into new spaces was like opening a page of an unscripted narrative, one where the adventure itself was the journey's most valuable reward. But as they foraged, there came an uneasy pause, a soft rustle that was not of their making. The tribe tensed collectively, an instinctual response honed by generations of survival. Eyes darted to pierce through the green veil around them, ears tuned to decipher friend from foe within the symphony of the forest song. The gentle rustle had stirred awareness, sharpening senses to a razor's edge. Amidst the hush, the child stood frozen, their heart an echo of the drumbeat that seemed to reverberate through the trees. The newcomers to their peaceful clearing were unseen, yet their presence cast a palpable shadow ripple that disrupted the continuity of this day. The elder rose, age-burdened joints creaking in the silence. His years had taught him that vigilance was allied to fortitude, and with emotion fraught with meaning, he signalled for quiet vigilance among the tribe. The gathering stilled to a stately calm, a poised structure waiting for the fabric of the day to reveal whether it would unravel or hold taut. Slowly, inevitably, a figure emerged into the Claringa young woman, approached by the elder with a mixture of caution and curiosity that balanced on the edge of a blade. The stranger mirrored their tension. Her eyes communicated an unspoken story, one of shared trials and mutual quests for coexistence with the forces of nature. As she drew nearer, the tribe saw she was not alone. Behind her, children trailed like shadows, eyes wide with wonder and trepidation, reflecting a familiar tale. The woman's tribe, smaller in number and equally weary from their own nomadic sojourn, hesitated at the edge, caught between the promise of kinship and the instinct to retreat. The elder extended a hand-attentive bridge across the expanse of uncertainty that lay between them, a gesture that spoke of peace, of shared fireside stories and hunted grounds, and the forging of alliances under an indifferent sky. The woman, visibly contemplating the offer, etched her response not with words, but with an actioner, simple nod, laden with the weight of 1,000 unsaid promises. In that moment, the spirit of alliance began, hushed and sacred, like the river stones that slowly wear into smooth companionship. Around them, the forest held its breath, casting them as participants in this fragile exchange, cousins bound by need and narrative. Yet, even as they began to weave their fates into a single tapestry, a deeper echo of mystery lingered, teasing the edges of contentment with the promise of the unknown. Under the thick canopy where whispers of ancient winds coiled around branches and leaves, the newly formed alliance began its tentative dance. Two groups, once strangers, now found themselves entwined by threads of shared fate and cooperative necessity. The air shimmered with the emergent understanding that their journey, while separate, was dictated by common truth survival, kinship, and a perpetual quest for stability in a world that spun with both promise and peril. As introductions were gracefully exchanged, names carried weight, spoken with the reverence of ancestral lore and the brevity of need. The elder and the newcomer acknowledged each other's people, eyes communicating the implicit recognition of burdens borne across ages. Beside them, the children hesitated, curiosity colliding with caution until the universal language of laughter and play unveiled their most authentic selves. It wasn't long before small hands grasped at the tethers of discovery, competing in races among towering trees, their merriment a glittering thread in the burgeoning tapestry of community. The sun hung high, casting its warmth upon the newfound unity as members of both tribes turned attention back to their shared tasks. Skills were exchanged as trade flowed organically about them, weaving expertise through conversations like vines wrapping around an ancient oak. Hunters, from both factions, embarked on teaching curious seekers the arts of tracking and silent approach, their knowledge often conveyed through mimicry and silent storytelling. Meanwhile, toolmakers shared methods for sharpening stone and hardening wood, a dance of hands and ideas that transcended spoken word. As meals were prepared, the mingling scents of seasoned roots and dried meats perfumed the air, adding a familiar salt to the blend of nature's aromas. Cooking became a narrative, a confluence of culinary traditions that made a feast both novel and reminiscent. Around the communal fire, stories breathed life into the dusk tales spun of deities that walked the earth, and ancestors whose feet lit up the stars with their daring. Yet, as embers flickered against the darkening sky, a tension began to ripple once more, subtle yet insistent. It was woven into the edges of evening, strumming a discordant melody that refused resolution. The troubling tracks that had lingered at the periphery of thought all day crept back into focus markings, not of wild animal nor familiar boot, but something similar, alien. In the shadows of the night, under the protective dome of stars, the tension woven through the air pulsed with a rhythm both familiar and foreign. The fire burned low, its embers casting fleeting ghosts of light that danced across the faces of those gathered in the makeshift circle of unity. The young and the old, those new to the group, and those whose roots ran deep into the ancient soil. The elder, wise lines etched into his face by the weight of many seasons, felt the pull of the unknown pressing closer, an unwelcome, invisible guest. He had seen many days where the harmony of existence was but a paper-thin veneer, easily torn by the unseen claws of danger. His thoughts turned to the tracks discovered earlier, remnants that spoke of neither beast nor man, but something that dwelled in a twilight realm between the two. Beside him, the young woman, her boldness tempered by a night's worth of consideration, leaned in to listen to the whispers of concern. Her own tribe, still hesitant and watchful, felt the shift in the air as well, a predator's gaze unfocused, yet undeniable. Without trading words, they shared the resolve of those, bound by more than mere circumstancier commitment, to protect the fragile peace they had begun to foster. Stories tell of nights like these, the elder remarked, his voice low and tinged with the gravity of unspoken fears. When shadows grow long, and the earth speaks in a language only the heart can translate, we must be vigilant, for what walks is neither seen nor felt until it is upon us. The fire popped, and sparks ascended toward the heavens like silent prayers. Around it, faces turned inward, thoughts turning to protective measures, strategies for defense without the threat of aggression. The hunters exchanged fleeting looks, the language of warriors prepared for any outcome. Toolmakers considered their craft, how it could be repurposed for safeguarding their kin. And the children, sensing the solemnity that cut through the night's shroud, huddled closer to their elders, absorbing lessons of courage taught without spoken word. As plans were laid, something stirred beyond the periphery of sight or sound, indistinct yet singular in its dissonance. The forest exchanged its secrets in the winds sweeping through leaves, as if conspiring to reveal what was yet unknown. Hearts quickened responses as the mystery grew, knitting apprehension with determination the chase of a riddle that might hold their salvation or their distance from it. Night stretched its tendrils across the tight-knit circle, the darkness a cloak of unknowns that swirled around their feet. The temperature dipped, a sharp reminder of the cycle ever spinning relentlessly, indifferent to human apprehensions. Each person felt the chill creeping from the earth, but the warmth emanated from their collective resolvia, quiet, potent flame, far stronger than the dwindling fire at their center. As the day's shared warmth faded, the group knew their unity was their strongest shield. Hours of crafting, of storytelling, and shared labor had woven a tapestry not easily unraveled. Vigilance became their vigil, moments slipping through the night's grasp as watchful eyes scanned the underbrush. Their silent agreement thrummed through the group a harmony of breathing, listening, and sensing together, the night forging them into a singular organism of awareness. The elder, his gaze steady as the North Star now hidden by the night sky, considered the community around him. Each member, despite their origins, had their role in this makeshift tribe forged by circumstance. The pulsating hum of efforts to detect or deter whichever fate demanded echoed his own nervous rhythm, a melody only he and the shadows seemed privy to. He knew, regardless of how they managed the night, morning would demand explanations. The unknown tracks would no longer be just marks in the earth, but markers of intent. It was the young woman who first sensed another shifter, subtle change in the night's cadence. Her senses, honed from years of watching the horizon with a keen intuition, picked up the tremor differently, a break in the silent dialogue between nature and its myriad denizens. Her hand instinctively moved to touch the arm of the hunter beside her, a small gesture pregnant with the weight of her unspoken observation. "Do you feel it?" she whispered, her voice barely slicing the solemnity of the surrounding wilderness. "We are not alone, but where eyes fail, perhaps our instincts shall light the way." A murmur of agreement hummed through those closest, a testament to trust sown from countless shared days and nights. Even those yet wary could not refute the primal instincts coiling through their senses. The firelight played on their tightened features, an age-old dance of light and shadow that promised both oblivion and enlightenment. A sudden rustle broke the layered silence, a sound too deliberate, too stopping to be wind or mere beast.